All right, y'all, what's going on? It's Combo Breaker 99. Back with another one, y'all. All right, y'all, let's talk about this one. Erin Blanchfield officially gets that get back against Tracy Cortez via second round rear naked choke with no hooks. That was crazy, y'all. Crazy finish. This was the one fight that I said would probably go the distance, and it didn't. It really didn't. I mean, that's what was crazy, man. Erin, she came in here. She took it to Tracy Cortez. I mean, Tracy, for the most part, I thought she was a little bit sharper on the feet. She was doing well with her boxing. She forced a couple of takedowns. But overall, man, you got to give Erin credit, man. When it comes to Erin's just scrappy style, she knows how to mix it up. She knows how to fight on the inside, clinch up, take the fight to the ground. Her jiu-jitsu is still deadly. I think she's one of the more deadly, scrappy, well-rounded fighters at flyweight right now, just the way she's able to mix it up. And that's the one thing I wanted to say. I think I said in my keys to victory, I think Erin overall had the better kickboxing than Tracy Cortez. But Tracy, she had the crisper boxing where, I thought her jab and her combinations were a little bit sharper. But I think when it comes to just mixing shots up like head kicks and right hands and just coming from all angles, that's Erin Blanchfield. I mean, Erin, she still needs to work on her defense, but for the most part, she was like, defense what? Defense what? I mean, Tracy Cortez could not hurt her. She walked through a lot of these shots. She just kept coming, and Erin broke her down. Erin simply, physically, mentally broke her down. I mean, Erin is just one of those busy little fighters that just keeps coming at you, and if you can't hurt her and get her respect, she's going to break you, just like she kind of did with Tyler Santos. Tyler eventually just felt that strength and just felt that cardio in that heart of Erin, and she could not stop her. She could not stop her. So I got to give Erin credit here. I mean, it's only going to work for so long. We know when you don't move your head. But right now, I'm just kind of enjoying the ride with Erin Blanchfield. But she does need to work on her defense. She really does. But I'm enjoying the ride with, these performances Erin's been putting on. But yeah, like I said, going back to even like the first fight, there were some things I could take away now that I look at it. I still think that Tracy Cortez may have a cardio issue at times. When the shots come back at her like that, she starts getting hit. She kind of got drained in the first fight, and there were a couple of times Erin almost submitted her in the first fight. But since then, Erin's got more polished with her striking and just her clinch game that this time around, she just broke Tracy Cortez down and eventually got her up out of there. I mean, right from the jump in the first round, just like I thought, Cortez, she started off sharper, keeping the center of the cage with her jab, out jabbing Erin. Erin was circling more, looking for that entry. But Tracy Cortez was just landing some good combinations on Erin, making her have to reset, landing some good right hands. But Erin started landing her right hand off the double jab. She was a little bit busier where Cortez was sharper. She was much more sharper whenever Erin would step in. She would land those knees to the body and then go back to that jab on Erin. But Cortez, for the most part, I thought the first round she controlled the exchanges with her boxing. And she was moving Erin a couple of times with those knees to the body and even just kind of grabbing her and moving her and then going back to the center. But Erin's tough and she stays busy. So I think that was kind of draining for Cortez. Cortez was landing all these shots, popping Erin, but Erin's still hitting her back and she's not going anywhere. And I think somewhere near the end of the round, Erin caught Tracy Cortez with a good elbow because the momentum started to change. Cortez is controlling the exchanges in the center of the octagon, landing the better shots. She's boxing a little bit better, but, Erin is still like, just circling and coming in, landing these punches, landing these 1-2s, trying head kicks here and there, leg kicks, and Tracy's trying to fend her off, right? But finally, Erin turns it up in like the last 20 seconds and just starts double jabbing and lands a good hard right hand. And I think lands a good elbow that opens up a cut on Tracy Cortez at the end of the round. So the momentum just really made a big change at the end of the round. So momentum was favoring Erin going into the second, definitely. But when they both came out in the second, they both came out scrapping. I ain't gonna lie, they both came out trading some shots. But like I said, that little cut over Cortez's eye started leaking, and I don't know if that kind of affected her her overall like just demeanor. Because from here, Cortez started not falling apart, but she just started like letting go of her game plan. She was boxing well, but then she starts to try to take Erin down. She takes Erin down, but Erin reverses it and forces Cortez into the cage, which to me was a bad idea for Cortez because Erin likes this position. She's been doing it a lot longer in the UFC. Even whenever she clinched up Erin, even whenever Erin clinched up Tyler, she had Tyler pinned up a couple of times. So Erin likes this position. She's really strong in these clinches. So Erin's active in this clinch. She's been doing it longer than Cortez has in the UFC. So that was a bad idea on Cortez, because from here, Erin started to wear on Cortez. She started to wear on Cortez. So Cortez, when she tries to go back to the center at this point, she's looking sharp, but she's just not as active with her jab anymore. She's not as active here. Erin's still moving side to side, getting in, landing some good shots. But then Erin kind of sees it in Cortez's face, so she takes Cortez down in that half guard, starts to go in for that head arm choke, and I'm like, uh-oh, this is the one right here. Erin's putting that top heavy pressure on her, and just like I said, when she gets that top position, she gonna work. She started mauling Cortez at this point, but Cortez, got to give her credit, she got back to her feet. She tried to get Erin off her. Erin went in for another takedown, and she nearly pulled her all the way to the other side of the cage, but she got Cortez down, and when she got her down, Erin was not playing. She goes straight for the back. She locks in that rear naked choke just like that, tightens up. You see Cortez's face just looks defeated, blood gushing out of her eye, and she taps, and that's it. That's all she wrote. I mean, you could just see it in Cortez's face in the clinch too. Like, I don't know where it was. Like, was it a shot? Was it that elbow? Was it the cut that just kind of made Cortez fall apart? Because she had a game plan. Like, I think she had a good game plan of just staying in the center and, trying to outwork and, maybe out slick and even counter Erin at times. But somewhere she just felt that strength and maybe the pop on the shots. Maybe she just felt like, wow, this girl's too fast, or she's just too frantic and too chaotic for me that I can't hold my own. But I think it really might have came from the clinch. Because whenever she got into the clinch, she kind of felt that strength, and then she kind of wore herself out. So I think Cortez maybe just was out of it, and she just wasn't ready for it. That's just bottom line. Like I said, it all came down to Erin's activity and just her overall experience. She just surpassed Tracy Cortez at this point. So with that being said, another good win for Erin Blanchfield. I know it's been a year since her last fight, against Rose Namajunas. But let's go ahead and talk about this. I know this is going to bring smoke. We're going to be real here. We always going to be real, because that's what I always do. Like I was saying in my live the other night, Erin is game. Erin is game, and she's earning her spot again. But she is not cutting in front of Natalia Silva right now. There's going to be a whole other video, because I feel like I'm going to have to do it. But look, Natalia Silva has her title shot on lock right now. She has that shot on lock. Erin is not cutting in front of Natalia Silva, not at this moment. This is Erin's rebuilding stage. After losing that Manon fight, she bounces back with 2 good wins, and right now she's rebuilding. Because Erin, like I said, is a good fighter. She is scrappy, but right now with what she possesses, I'm not sure she beats Manon in a rematch, and I don't think she beats Valentina Shevchenko. So until then, she just needs to keep working on what she's doing, in the gym, keep training, maybe get another fight or two, but she's not cutting in front of Natalia Silva. Not right now. Natalia Silva is ready. Just like Erin, just like the position Erin was in. When Erin was in Manon, they were like 7-0, right? I think Natalia Silva has done enough to earn her spot. She's beat 2 former champions. She's beat Jessica Andrade, and she's beat Alexa Grasso. So she's on her 7-0 win streak, just like the other girls, like Manon did, and Erin was until she lost to Manon. So anybody that goes on that streak, they deserve their title shot. Okay, Erin's not cutting in front of her like that. She's not going to cut in front of her and get that title shot when she just lost to Manon, and she's getting, like I said, into that rebuilding stage. So take this time to just grow as a fighter. Erin is still young. There's no need to try to rush her to try to get a title shot in front of Natalia. Not when Natalia Silva already did the work and she's ranked higher than Erin. And that goes for Valentina too, because Valentina said, oh, now there's Erin. No, there ain't no Erin. Ain't no Erin. It's Natalia Silva next. Everybody trying to duck Natalia Silva. I ain't saying Valentina's ducking her, but everybody's like avoiding that name right now. They're going to Amanda Nunes trilogy, Kayla Harrison. What about Natalia? Come on now. But anyways, that's another video. I think Erin Blanchfield right now is developing, and she's looking better than ever. Well, I'll say she's looking better, all right? She's looking better now. She's definitely looking better. But I still need to see maybe like one more test before she's able to get a shot, because this is a revolving door. Manon got her shot. Next is Natalya. If Natalya loses, then fine. Erin gets her shot. And that's the way it's supposed to be. All right? Simple as that. Just facts. Just truth. All right? Other than that, yeah, what would be next for Erin? Not a title shot. I would just say maybe the former champ Alexa Grasso. If they don't do the Manon Grasso fight, then maybe that fight happens. For Tracy Cortez, though, Cortez, man. I don't know, man. Just seems like Cortez hasn't really been in the game mentally lately, So I don't know what's next for her. Maybe they can reschedule that fight with her and Miranda Maverick. That's probably the best matchmaking for her right now, because to me, that was probably one of the better fights for her. That Rose fight didn't really do her any justice. I know she wanted to step her game up and take the short notice and, be the hero there. But revisit that fight. Revisit that Miranda Maverick fight. That's a good level playing field fight for her. Or Veronica Macedo. That's a good fight. Either of those would be good for Tracy Cortez at this point. She needs to fight down. I know she's not fighting Casey O'Neill because Casey O'Neill was in her corner, so that probably won't happen. But yeah, those are the matches I can see being made for Natalya, for Erin and Cortez at this point. But yeah, like I said, I definitely like Erin Blanchfield as a fighter. I'm a fan, but she can't cut in front of Natalya Silva right now. She just can't do that. Now, it's possible for her to get her first title shot before Manon gets her second. I'd be okay with that, because that gives Manon time to, grow a little bit more herself and, get confident and be prepared for the bullet. But, I don't think she cuts in front of Natalya. Not at all. Where the smoke at, y'all?